All right, what's up, guys? So, wanted to go live here. Got a haircut today, looking kind of dapper. I like it. Of course, I don't know what to do with this little part. Want to go live. So, on man, a lot of hours of Zoom calls, staring into the camera, looking at the screen, setting up an environment that isn't cluttered in the background. Maybe a little bit more on that in a minute, but I want to talk a little bit about being effective and leading effectively in Zoom calls. There are some basic things that I just want to cover. First thing I want to cover is actually logging into Zoom itself. So I'll say you can use the web browser, but that's not the best idea. Go ahead and download the app. If you're going to be on Zoom a lot, especially, or if your work wants you on Zoom, or if it's just something you're going to do from time to time, go ahead and download the app. It's not a very big app. It's not going to take up a lot of space on your phone or on your laptop or iPad or whatever you use in your tablet. Download the app, log in. You can create a free account. And with the free account, the thing that you need to be mindful of is you're only going to get 40 minutes of Zoom time before they cut your call completely off. And there's no warning when the call gets cut off. So just be mindful of that. You're just going to have 40 minutes before the call. So whoever you're on with, they're going to think you like, it's like you got mad and you hung up on them. They're going to think you hung up on them. So just be mindful of that. You only get 40 minutes with the free account. The paid account, I have a couple of pro accounts. You're going to drop about $150 a year on the pro accounts. You're going to get a gig of cloud storage space. All of our Zoom calls, we upload straight to the cloud. I actually even started to do this on Zoom just to have that feature, but I wanted to push it out. I wanted to push this video out to our team more quickly. So that's why I decided to do a live stream with it. So you get a gig of uploaded or a gig of cloud space to store your videos on Zoom, to store your content. Man, I know a lot of guys who use Zoom for podcasts. It seems to be an extremely stable platform. So as long as you have a good, stable internet connection, Zoom's pretty great. Another thing that Zoom is fantastic for, it doesn't matter whether you're a Mac user or a Microsoft user or if you're using something else. There's so many different types of companies out with so many different types of devices. If it's a device made for media, I'm just going to go out on a little bit of a limb and say that Zoom's probably got an app for it. So iPhones, iPads, whatever, MacBooks, Windows, it'll work for you. You can log on. And also, so you don't have to have an internet connection, a strong Wi-Fi connection, a strong data connection. You don't have to have that to use Zoom either. I've been in remote place, like super remote places, leading calls. My wife and I have been walking on the beach, like on the outskirts of nowhere, and have been able to lead Zoom calls because you can call in. So it doesn't matter where you're at in the world. You don't have to have a data connection. If you have just a cellular connection or even a landline, you can still call in via Zoom. Zoom is something that we use with our dads groups, and we have guys call in from all over the world. I use Zoom for our teams at work. It's a good place. It's a good, stable place to meet. So go ahead, download the app, create a free account. If you need more, go ahead and shell out the $150 to pay for the pro account. I see a couple folks on right now, so it's kind of cool that you guys are interested in how to use Zoom. And the other thing that I would say about Zoom as well, after you get past that, so you get logged in, you get your account created. Next is actually doing the call itself. So you're going to want to go ahead and set up your video and make sure your webcam works and make sure, you can hear good. You can do a test. You know what? Actually, I should have done a screen share here where I could show you guys how to do this. So maybe I'll do a screen share later with Zoom to show you how to do this. Actually, I should really just end the video now and do it. But you know what? I'll just talk you through it. So if you open the Zoom app, click Zoom under the preferences, the very first preference it brings up is your audio preferences, audio and video. Click on your audio. You can test your audio. You can test if you can hear. You can test if your microphone's working. Those of you guys who used to use Skype back in the day, it's very similar. The layout's very similar to the way that Skype used to be. I don't use Skype at all anymore. Everything's Zoom. And then video, you can choose your webcam, or in this setting, because I'm on Zoom so much, we decided to go ahead and do a little more with it. So I've actually got a Blackmagic Mini 4K Ursa on a tripod set up. So that's what you're seeing this video on right now. It's a Blackmagic Mini 4K with a 28 millimeter lens. So it's a kind of a tight lens. The camera itself is only maybe 3 feet from my face. So maybe a yard from my face, maybe. So it's a nice tight. And then in the background, because I don't like clutter at all. I don't like a lot of clutter in video. I like clean environments. I like to be able to focus on the person that I'm talking to and not everything that's going on in the background. Man, I just went to Lowe's and just did some corrugated like steel. That's all this is this is just some corrugated steel. I think for this wall behind us, spent like $70 to make this wall. And we just screwed this stuff on the wall, man, just tacked it up. And so it looks good. It's aesthetic. It's clean. To me, it's nice lines. I like it. So we did the camera, and then I really didn't like my audio at all. My audio sounded, from time to time, it would sound very tinny. And for those of you with a music background, or if you've ever, played or ran a soundboard or anything like that, you know what I'm talking about. It's like the treble was way up high, the mids were way up high, and the bass was way down low, and I really didn't feel like it was capturing my voice. So we upgraded mics a little bit. So we did the Shure SMB7. It's a workhorse mic. It's workhorse mic for podcast, video casts like this. I've got the Shure running into, I had an old Yamaha like 10 channel board, Yamaha MG102C. And I bought this thing no kidding, like 15 or 20 years ago. I've got the Yamaha running into a Focusrite Scarlett Solo. Scarlett Solos are kind of industry standard. Again, about $100 for the Scarlett Solo. I've had the Scarlett Solo for probably 6 years. I've had it for a while, and it just continues to perform every time I turn it on. It's got a 1/4-inch interface that can receive. You can even plug up an instrument in there if you'd like. But I've got the Yamaha MG102C running straight into the Focusrite, the Scarlett Solo. And then the Scarlett Solo, it interfaces nicely via USB into I've just got my 2015 late year MacBook Pro. It was the very first MacBook that I purchased when we launched Life That Counts. So this guy's been with me for the whole ride. Every port on this Mac setting, I probably need to post a picture and show you guys my setup here. But every port on this Mac is filled up because I've got dual screens with the MacBook in the middle. And of course the camera running in. Oh, I should probably tell you this too about the camera. So we've got this Blackmagic running in. So the Blackmagic it's SDI. So it's an SDI out into an SDI receiver. It converts the signal to HDMI. I forget what the box is. I guess I'll have to post Amazon links here in the description after I finish this video. But yeah, the HDMI runs into the Elgato Cam Link. I mean, these guys are it's just a little inline, inline HDMI to USB. The USB, of course, is right into the MacBook. So it plays, and as you could tell with YouTube, it plugs and plays pretty well with YouTube. So again, I've got USB coming out of the Scarlett Solo. I've got USB with a microphone, USB with the mic to the Yamaha to the Scarlett Solo. I've got a USB with the Ursa or Blackmagic Ursa Mini 4K. into the SDI to HDMI to the Elgato Cam Link, straight into the Mac, and it works pretty well. Now, something that I could have done, and I don't know why I haven't switched it yet, because it would free up one of my USBs on my Mac, and this is why I use multiple computers here at my desk. And by the way, I like this stand too. So I'm actually I'm 6'3". I don't really like to bend over, and I also don't like to stay seated very long. So I got a desk that would elevate. You can find desk on Amazon, probably other places, but for me, Amazon's go-to. You can find desks that elevate. Man, there's a great one out there. It's like a 68-inch or something like that desk. We got this for a couple of our staff members, like $298. I mean, it's great quality. It's not a Veridesk. I mean, Veridesk is kind of the standard. Veridesk is what I use. Great desk, no complaints. It's, the motors in it are fine. They lower, raise, whatever you need to do. All right. So what else? So that's kind of the setup. So all that, I talk about the equipment, and I feel like I just kind of went into the weeds a little bit, and I probably lost most of you talking about the equipment. But if you're not going to do any kind of external camera, the Blackmagic, we use this thing, we take it off all the time to film stuff with it. This mic, and we could use it for other things. So if you're not going to do all that, my kid brother calls me extra all the time. So if you're not going to do all that, then that's fine. You can just, use your webcam on your iPhone or on your MacBook or your Windows or whatever it is that you're using. The webcam is fine. Nothing wrong with it whatsoever. I would encourage you, though, the one thing that you probably want to do with audio is you want to make sure that you have a good set of earbuds, and you want to make sure that the earbuds that you use have a decent mic on them. So I'm not using the mic on the Beats here. The Beats work pretty good for listening. I like the way they sound, and you can tell these are like the Solo Series ones, so they're way old, right? But they're still fantastic. You do want to have something that you can be heard clearly from. If you don't care about voice quality or stuff like that, then by all means, for real, don't worry about upgrading mics. Don't worry about spending a lot of money on your microphone. But still, you do want to do something more than just a mic on your laptop and trying to hear, because it's just, especially like if you're trying to set at Starbucks on a Zoom. Here's what you're going to want to do if you're trying to set at Starbucks on a Zoom. Well, right now, in the midst of the national situation that we're having, nobody's sitting at Starbucks because we're currently practicing social distancing. But if you find yourself in an area where you're on your laptop or whatever, and you're still in Wi-Fi from McDonald's or Starbucks or wherever you're still in Wi-Fi from, that you're probably going to have enough Wi-Fi in your setting where you can have your video show. But once you start trying to stream both audio and video, it gets really quirky. It seems to take up just a little more bandwidth than a free Wi-Fi connection somewhere will offer. So unless you're at your office, like right now I'm at the office, I've got dedicated good internet signal here. It's our works internet. It's a good signal. Good strong data connection. Like 500 down, 50 up, I think, something like that. Then you're probably going to want to use your laptop on your Wi-Fi. Even if you're at home on your Wi-Fi, you probably want to practice this, because most residential Wi-Fi it's typically not good enough to carry audio and video. So my recommendation is this: you can cheat a little bit. Use your laptop for your video, and then call in on your phone. And by all means, don't hold your phone up to your ears all the time. Like if you've got some AirPods, or if you've got some, some earphones or whatever, some whatever you can plug into your phone that you can talk on. Man, if you're like a gym rat and you go to the gym and you got your earphones for the gym or whatever, you use those. Those are probably going to be a better it's going to be a better experience for you because you're not going to be holding your phone the whole time, and it's probably going to be a better experience for those on the Zoom call with you because they're going to be able to hear you better. Most microphones, even on 50, 60, $70 pair of Bluetooth earphones or headphones or whatever they're called, those are probably going to be better than you trying to talk on your phone the whole time. I would say that's probably a last resort kind of a thing. So yeah, the cheat there is really simple. Just call the number that's provided for the Zoom link on your phone. Just do the one touch if you're an iPhone, or if you're an Android or whatever else, call in the other number and dial the code to get into the Zoom room that you're going to be a part of. But use your laptop for your video signal. Use your phone to call in on audio. It's just better for everybody. Trust me, because you don't sound like a robot once your computer starts trying to, once your processor starts to get bogged down by trying to overcompensate for, a data connection that's just not that strong. If you're in a setting, here's the great thing about Zoom. If you're in a setting where, maybe you're driving down the road, or you're just like I mentioned earlier, if you're out and about, if you're walking the beach, if you're walking through, Walmart, or if you're walking through wherever you're walking through, you can even join Zoom from the gym. Just make sure that your end is muted. Or don't worry, trust me, the host will mute you from his or her end. But you can join by audio only, even if you can't be on video. For those of you guys who you travel a lot, you commute a lot, I really want to encourage you. Look, don't try to be on video while you're going down the road. That's seriously not a safe practice. It's not safe for you. It's not safe for everybody else in traffic around you. And you know what? It's not really that safe, even for the audience, or even for the people that you're participating with on Zoom, because it's hard. Like, I know when I lead Zoom calls and I see guys, like, we've got some guys who drive tractor trailers on Zoom calls on video, and I'm like, turn off your video or I'm going to kick you out of this call, because I am thinking about those people around you in traffic while you're trying to look at your camera driving a tractor trailer. That's to me, guys, that's just stupid. Okay, that's not wise. Okay, so please don't do that. That's like, yeah, bad. So anyway, so just kind of moving on from that. I want to talk a minute about tips for those of you who are actually going to be leading Zoom calls. One, it's just like any other meeting, man. You need to know your agenda. You need to know your direction. You need to know the goal. You need to clearly articulate the goal of that meeting. You need to clearly articulate the goal of that Zoom call, so that everyone, just like any other meeting, that everyone else on the calls knows exactly where you're headed. So have your agenda, articulate the agenda, move forward from there. Cool beans. The next thing I would say is, depending on the nature of your Zoom calls, just like any other meeting, you have to be vigilant to make sure that the call doesn't get hijacked by someone's burning issue, right? Just like any other meeting, you have to make sure that what you're doing doesn't get hijacked by someone else's pressing agenda. And I could do like a whole other video on this, but look, here's the truth. What is urgent and important to someone else isn't always going to be urgent and important to everyone on the Zoom call. It's just like in your meetings, what's important and urgent to someone else isn't going to be important and urgent to everyone else in your meeting. So it's like, look, if I've communicated what this meeting is going to be about, if I've communicated, here's the things that we're going to do, if I've done my job as the person who's leading this call to communicate clearly with the folks who are going to be on it, then look, don't let the thing get hijacked. And in that moment, you may even have to interrupt somebody and say, "Hey man, I really hate that you're going through this," or "Hey man, that's really exciting," whatever the situation. But then follow that by saying, "Hey, let's catch up with a one-on-one. Let's catch up one-on-one after this." And then after that, let that person let the responsibility of following up with you be on that person, right? I mean, it's their thing, either their world's on fire or their exciting news is something they just have to, get out. But put the burden of responsibility on them to follow up with you. I would say that if you're working with adults, if you're working with students, like most of the time it's going to be in our setting, then I think that burden of follow up is most definitely probably on you. You probably need to be the one to follow that up, or as we've trained our folks who work with youth, then the burden is going to be on, well, you're going to have to make a handoff to like a school counselor or just to someone like that, So, all right, so we'll move on and keep going. So we've talked about that. A couple of cool features that Zoom has, and we use these a lot, guys. We use these a ton because they're just really helpful. Zoom has things called breakout rooms, and this was actually why I didn't do a this is why I didn't do this video. I'm probably going to record this entire video. So like, thanks for hanging in here for the 21 minutes and however long we've been going. I'm probably going to redo this video with an outlined agenda, and I'm probably going to redo this video and have people on the call so we can actually show you how Zoom rooms work. But you really can't see it because once people jump in the rooms, they disappear. So anyway, so breakout rooms, I've already talked about them. Breakout rooms give you the capabilities of, if say you've got 5 people or 8 people or 50 people or 100 people or 500 people, whatever, whichever paid plan you have, if you're doing a webinar or whatever you're trying to do, on your Zoom rooms or in Zoom, you can break out into smaller clusters of people. Now, Zoom will automatically break these rooms out for you, or the host can break these rooms out, that can manually assign breakouts. Now, one thing that I'm going to experiment with, because I don't know if the host can be assigned and still manually break out rooms, or if the host has to also be the originator of the call, and that's something different. So I'm going to keep going. Another thing that Zoom will allow you to do, in the breakout rooms, look, it sounds difficult. It's not. Just hit the buttons. You're fine. Nothing's going to disappear. And even if you manage to kill the whole call somehow, you can still send everybody an email or a text and say, "Hey, my bad, I'm back on Zoom," and they can join you. And they will. People will. I've found that people are typically way more gracious than what we sometimes give them credit for. Another feature that I want to talk about with Zoom is polling. You can use online polling in Zoom. You can create questions on the fly and get instant responses in your polls. And you can either choose to share those results or not with everyone else on the call. And you can share those results in real time. You can do as many poll questions as you want. Polls are fun. It gives the introverts in the room an opportunity to chime in. Oh, and you know what? I need to talk about the chat feature, because Zoom has a dedicated chat feature, and you can chat privately to everyone on the call. Or I'm sorry, you can chat, privately to individuals on the call, or you can chat openly with everyone on the call. So you can go either way there. So there you go. There's a feature that I forgot completely about. We've talked about the ability to record to the cloud. We've talked about the ability to do breakout rooms. We've talked about the ability or in the chat. We've talked about the online polling. We've talked about the equipment that you can use for Zoom. And I want to circle back. I seriously recommend it, if at the very least, invest in a decent set of earbuds that are great for phone calls, because that's basically what you're doing. You're doing a phone call with the video feature. So, all right, with that said, You guys, if you have any questions, if you have any thoughts, look, this was a totally unplanned one off that I decided to do in the office. There will be no editing whatsoever to this video. And I'm almost sorry for that. But you know what? Sometimes perfection can get in the way of progress. So I wanted to put something out there for our team that would be useful. And I want to say this as well: be mindful of your background noise when you unmute yourself. If you're in an area that's really noisy, so I used to do calls from the gym. You cannot lead a call from the gym. You just can't unless you're in the world's most quietest gym ever trying to lift weights. Like it just doesn't work. So if you're in a crowded environment and you need to be on the call, that's awesome. Be on the call. Use the chat feature more than you contribute verbally, because it's seriously hard to hear if you're, just like be as respectful on a Zoom call as you would on any other, I would say, business casual call that you have. Yeah, I hope that's helpful. Be mindful of your background. If you're sitting in your living room, this actually happened yesterday. I want to tell you guys this. So this was, I'm not going to say the person, but this was a professional person, and with one of the organizations we work with, and she's been doing her job for a very long time, for like 30 years. And she's on a Zoom, and her computer is in like their family room or their living room or something. And she's sitting at her computer, and all of a sudden her oldest son walks by with like his boxers on, with like nothing but his boxers on. And anyway, it was kind of like, just be mindful of who's walking through the room. Okay. And you might even want to let others know around you, if you're in kind of that family environment, hey, I need to hop on a Zoom. Or you may just want to go to a part of the house where you can control what comes behind, what comes behind you, or what's going to be in view. Those are just things to think about. And that's just right off the top of my head. Zero scripting. There are no notes in front of me. So if it sounds like I rattled, well, that's why. I hope this has been useful. I hope you guys have an amazing evening or morning or afternoon or middle of the night, wherever you find this video. I wish you all the best. Hey, look, stay safe out there, man. It's March 21st, 2020. It's roughly 8:34 p.m. So it's Saturday, March 21st, 2020. Nothing but love. God bless. Stay safe. Take care. Wash your hands repeatedly. And I'll catch you next time.